Alright, what's up guys? I'm going to do another video here. And this is not going to be your typical bandwagon that Weinstein or Epstein, In matter of fact, the Epstein, a guy hung himself, but I think somebody threw him to the wolves, and kept him talking. We're never going to know. Joe Rogan was saying, yeah, his cellmate, man, looked like somebody who was... when I was watching that with the Joe Rogan YouTube video saying, oh yeah, the cellmate looked like somebody that was a recipient of smuggled in steroids. That a neck being broken, when you hang yourself, especially in a prison, you have to actually get something broken, like asphyxiating yourself and passing out, or if somebody chokes you out, okay, they can choke you out, but it's a martial art, break your neck. Or I was watching a Moni Isaac martial arts video, the Commando Krav Maga, which I actually purchased, and then I gave to a friend of mine. I was going to buy a new one because this was scratched. He talked about how you can choke somebody out and put them to sleep, right? But you do it too much, it can cause brain damage and everything else. But they actually, I don't know, it was a live video that they actually were demonstrating. But anyway, yeah, if you, whether it's in prison or some kind of command or some martial art, I'm no expert on that, but all I know, man, what information you get, come on, something that's broke like that. For somebody to hang themselves in prison, to have your neck broke, you have to be up somewhere and just, if somebody threw you off or jump off, and when you hang, it has to be something that where you jump off a piece of furniture or something, right? And you jump off it, you fall by force and blah, and just, I don't know, like that, to break the neck. But then there's people that will hang herself, for with different reasons, There was one girl that hung herself in a closet because she was being bullied online, and well, they found, it was one of the first things that they actually used the internet evidence to prosecute the ones that were bullying her and drove to suicide. But hang yourself in the closet, or they just go and asphyxiate themselves, they go to sleep and then the hanging does the rest of the job. Well, there was a thing in my head too about years ago, David Carradine. Any of you guys, if you got this far in this video, I know I'm jumping subjects. The David Carradine thing, you know what I mean? I don't know, the coroners and different people that are there and they put them on a slab there. You can take people's word for shit. You don't know what really happened. You were able to get somebody in their sleep some way and just put them up there and make it look like he hung himself in the closet. They claimed that he died, to put it lightly, to try not to be lewd about it. They claimed that he died beaten off, or asphyxiating themselves at the same time, so they could get off some kind of way that you get off better, I don't know, or not just... I don't want to laugh about it. It's not funny that he died. I like the guy. One of the first things I saw on TV, the iconic first Kung Fu movie, those Chinese people working on the railroads, just because a guy died that way, I'm not going to... But it's a big mystery because, for one thing, the guy probably, if he did beat off, he probably was better off beaten off, because he probably didn't want to get no damn diseases visiting these other countries and fooling around, you know what I'm saying? But while I was on the subject, even like that, what do you guys think, that somebody could have just killed him somewhere and just... Because, the people that, if you die in some other country some way, even in this country, they could say any damn thing, about, put the coroner's report on anybody and just say damn near anything and be in the story, You just never know, Is there some kind of fancy kung fu technique that somebody got over on him while we were sleeping to create no signs of struggle, And they say, oh, there was no signs of struggle, he just died that way. But yet you and me weren't there, I could just, yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's what I was trying to compare the... yeah, it was kind of ironic too that we had two Steins, Weinstein and Epstein, and I'll accidentally make a mistake and use the wrong Stein. Weinstein, Epstein. They're both Steins, two Steins. I know. Steinstein. You get a guy named Stein. Can you have somebody named Steinstein or Steinstein? If you had Albert Einstein, why did they call him Einstein? What if you wanted to call him Einstein or Einstein? He was Einstein, but he could have been Einstein or Einstein. I'm being silly, but but anyway, if you got this far in this video, one of the things I intended to talk about is my videos I did with crazy music and heavy metal, but what you didn't know, I crossed over. Well, if you saw any of the likes in some of my videos or anything I post on social media, I crossed over into, I was one of them heavy metalists, and I crossed over into what Henry Rollins said, real R&B, real funk, and real soul, you know, and even Suicidal Tendencies, the band Suicidal Tendencies had a funk background. Suicidal Tendencies got, I heard some things on social media that they got banned from live concerts because a lot of people who were high-profile gang members, they supposed to be, I don't know, you read about it, they caused the gang riots, and they were banned literally from. Well, I love the band still because the lyrics of some of their songs appealed to me. You Can't Break Me Down. The motherfucker, he was waiting for me, and I lost again. And send me your, since I bash like religions, send me your, oh yeah, I recommend that. I'm jumping subject, so the fuck what, but anyway, yeah, I crossed over. I listened to all that, but I crossed over into classical music, and there's some stuff that's mixed with rock and roll. And I don't know if that Rageaholic dude, I subscribe to him, you know, I recommend you do, because he says shit like very passionately that I couldn't even do. I jump subjects a lot, but wondered if he crossed over into classical music. But while crossing over into classical music, and right around before I was even saying anything a lot on YouTube and getting to be a better speaker, what I discovered in some classical music, and I liked particular things a lot, I'd give you some lists. Some of it religiously too. That's why atheistic Satanism, I lost subscribers even though I was a bad. Some people that if you happen to see this video, if you were watching, and you subscribe to me, if you've unsubscribed to me because of this, it's nothing personal, okay? I was accused of being a Satan worshiper back when I was a teenager, and that's a video coming up later on that I want to say about a video about gang stalking, one of the biggest things I ever, but before I knew what the word gang stalking was Jesus Christ. But anyway, because of Metallica, their little cello things, I crossed over to classical music. And I listened to some things that were, you know, different things that I liked a lot, which my mother was screamed, swore, and chain smoking. Everything about the Jewish faith totally biblically correct, but she screamed, swore, and chain smoked and had an ashtray next to the Bible. And that's why I am the way I am on here on YouTube. But anyway, I had some shit that was somewhat religious, but it was Catholic, it was crossover, it was, I had family members that were Catholic. I went to my grandmother's Catholic funeral, was actually a pallbearer. And there were some things relaxing, I don't know, but I discovered things like later on when I got the internet that crossed over classical and medieval music. That I had theories if civilization collapsed, people would try to be troubadours and be maybe rock and roll with guitar, but so damn much weird shit, you'd be looking at me like I'm nuts that I listened to that was tied with rock and roll, and I listened to some stuff that was somewhat religious that instead of listening to heavy metal that pissed my mother off, there would be certain religious things that, why do you listen to that for? But things called, yeah, here's some things that you guys would look at me like I'm crazy and say, what the fuck is that? Codex Calixtinus and Cantigas de Santa Maria. And before I got the internet, I was this long-haired hippie that had CD collection. That I also damn near cried when Borders Bookstore closed down because I bought classical CDs, heavy metal, all kind of shit when I had all my fancy money ate in a restaurant. During when that time I've had books of different things, everything from the Key of Solomon, the things that were in the apocryphal books, that were in the Orthodox and Catholic Bibles that, oh, you're not allowed to read, but yet I did it anyway and pissed people off. Like the books of Judith, Maccabees, Sirach, Baruch. I wanted to find shit out, and I discovered the Dead Sea Scrolls, Enoch, Jubilees, the Little Genesis. Yeah, this is more random jibber jabber, it relates, but in all of this, I discovered, okay, what I want to talk about in classical when I finally get to the point, okay? Music of Claudio Monteverdi. Very wonderful stuff, and I even have a Monteverdi tune that was a baritone and a female voice that I like just enough to where I can, you ever see this YouTuber, this long-haired guy on YouTube, he has a YouTube video on how to sing anything. If you guys want to go to sing while you're fucking at it, look up a video, a YouTube video, how to sing anything, right? If you're in, we want to try singing, this long-haired dude. But anyway, if I were to pick a classical, there's a sacred about, that was Claudio Monteverdi tune that's up. I had it on there for a while, but YouTube kind of blocks it out. You're not allowed to post it, but yet they have. I wondered if I could find a way to sing, I would, oh God, I would so want to learn how to sing and learn the language and sing it. But, and well, there's a few dancing songs that I wish that I would actually be able to sing, like Ashes and Let It Be Captured, you know, by piano, you know, that would be the shit, you know what I mean? Now, I remember a broken down abandoned church that I went to as a kid for a while when my parents were like, before, she's just a small kid, and it was basically an abandoned thing, but in the chapel part that's all a wreck, the piano still played. Oh man, sneak in there and learn to play the piano. Jesus Christ, you know what I mean? So there's room for ideas, but okay, in discovering, I bought DVDs of all these different classical music that I like a lot and I recommend, and I might show you some DVDs. But when I bought this one DVD about Banquet of the Senses, okay, that if you got this far, I should make a totally different video to talk about this. I discovered in this stuff about you're hearing about the real rich people that were doing this shit illegal for years and finally getting caught, and they're throwing somebody in the wolves and in prison. And the damn shit that's going on in the Catholic Church for fucking centuries. It was a long legacy. It goes back to the Roman Empire when Rome fell in the days of the barbarians. And if you watch the History Channel about barbarians, how some of these barbarians became Christians, and you later had Inquisitions, but yet them, Arian Christians and Catholics were fighting, but yet there was all this during the classical music era, a lot of wonderful things being put out there, but the Catholic Church has had this long-ass legacy. And if you want to talk about rock and roll, the song Robin Trower, Bridge of Sighs, you know what the Bridge of Sighs was. There was a video about Antonio Vivaldi, right? Vivaldi's women. It's a happy story, of course, but they were all ugly women that were all the shit to go, and they were throwing babies out over the bridge. But yet this place called the Mercy, but it was called the Pieta. It survives even today. Very good voices, but yet they were all ugly women because they were deformed because of sexual misconduct. And they were lucky enough not to be thrown into the water. But anyway, when I saw this other DVD, not to jump subjects on, about Monteverdi, it was called Banquet of the Senses. And I'll tell you the reason why the DVD sucked, but yet it was enlightening. There was one good tune, where they were harmonizing together and then clinking with these metal chalices like they were having a good time. And you ever hear the thing about what the Romans said, wine, women, and song before Rome fell? Long-ass legacies. Well, anyway, in this DVD, okay, Banquet of the Senses, you know, I was into everything like Troubadour, Monteverdi. There are things called Monteverdi Madrigals. And I bought this DVD in a used store and I found it, but not only did it suck, but I found some holy shit. And they were talking about how Epstein had this, I saw a YouTube video on this private island, and he had this special, you want to call it a bunker, it was, I don't know, like a temple, but a building where he's getting away with all his shit. But in the days of Claudio Monteverdi, there was a place that exists today, all kind of artwork on the walls, where these people were in post-medieval days, they were doing this for fucking centuries, and really sick shit. And when I saw this DVD, it talked about how the artist Claudio Monteverdi was overworked and underpaid. They were making him work, and then they were saying, "Oh, I'll pay you later, pay you later." There was all kind of work he did for free, and tricking him into working for free. And they didn't fucking pay him. He was aged and overworked. And they had these, he was working for these fucking perverted elitists back in the day. But when I was looking at this DVD, there were some religious images in this place, like in this documentary. But then there were some other images that are in this place. I'd have to give you some names and in comments in this video and look it up. What was so fucking sick about this place, they had religious paintings in it, but they had some really disgusting shit that these high-level kings and aristocrats were having painted. Really perverted, pornographic paintings. And what I didn't like about the DVD is, well, the guy was a Monteverdi Madrigal enthusiast, okay? And there's a lot of stuff that's beautiful music, but what I saw in it, Jesus Christ, really disgusting. There were some really sick-ass paintings. And not how people say the slang, how something is awesome, they say, oh, it's sick. This was really abomination, I'd call it. That these people, when I watched this DVD, I mean, I like rock and roll and I like classical music, but this isn't conspiracy theory. There was shit in centuries during all these times where different people were paying these musicians and these artists. Just like you look up the YouTube video, The Story of Your Enslavement. The video, The Story of Your Enslavement, talks about how the highest paid people were the intellectuals, the artists, and the propagandists, because artists and they promote everything and thus telling people what to speak. As a matter of fact, if you're some artist or musician that wants to just get started, your music might be good, and somebody else's music might suck. But the person's music that sucks, that kisses the ass of these people, they'll promote it and brainwash people and say, oh, that's so good. So even back in the, but anyway, yeah. Yet at the same time, there was still some really wonderful music in the classical era that is really like cool. Well, there was some of my favorite stuff was, even though these kings had very disgusting, most of them had disgusting ass lives, no different than people now. They were fooling around. And those wigs that they ever have on TV, the Three Musketeer movies, that they make in those wigs, that they were designed because these kings and these high-level people were getting syphilis. They said syphilis, you lose all your hair, so they were disguising it. And some of them were wearing makeup because your skin, you can get all kind of things wrong with you and try to cover it up and everything else. I don't know, but yeah, they had all kind of crazy ass shit going on, and you know what I mean. And Beethoven, they found out that he died of lead poisoning because they were, I call it deliberately poisoning people. They were trying to say lead was deliberately put in there. They said it made the wine sweeter. How the fuck would lead make wine sweeter? I don't know. Even back then, they were killing people slow. They loved to drink wine, and they were just putting lead in it to slowly kill people. Beethoven went deaf, but then later they were trying to say he died of cirrhosis of the liver, but now people are saying he died of lead poisoning. But anyway, when you find out how some of these classical artists, some were good, you had to appease a king, and unlike anybody else, you had these kings and these aristocrats, and they didn't have MP3 players and they didn't have record players yet. So they didn't sell recordings, so they had private bands entertaining them. George Frederick Handel or whatever. The World Fireworks and Water Symphony, the water music, fireworks symphony. You had these kings that they threw these big parties on these barges, and they had a live concert. And then so they had the water music and the fireworks music, you know, and it's like, and now you've got these crazy elitist, different kind of bands, cruise ships, and really indulging in stuff, you know what I mean, too, and I mean, it's like crazy, you know what I mean? But if you got anything out of this video, I mean, I'm not your conspiracy theorist. I mean, I've gotten myself into different kind of musics and different kind of things, and I found out, I listened to classical music stations, and you find out what was going on in wars, where people fought with the sword and chainmail, and then and your pre-medieval troubadour music and all kind of medieval drum music and everything from bagpipes. People fought with chainmail, they started getting muskets a little bit at a time, and then these music where you had harps and strings, and they were better string instruments that turned into a grand piano. Musical instruments evolved. I mean, you had things that started out as harps, hammer, harp, but then you had something that was beaten on it, like you lay it down, it becomes a hammer, different version of dulcimer. Then you had old instruments that evolved from there. They decided, well, instead of having a hammer dulcimer, it's pluck like a harp, bling, 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 pluck it off, pluck a harp, ding, 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 ding. So a bunch of years ago, on my earlier days of YouTube, somebody playing Iron Maiden on a harp. Oh, man, ding, ding. Wow. But anyway, from a harp to me, pling, 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 dulcimer. And all of a sudden they find something that lay it down, different kinds of things with a box or with a harp with strings. They say, well, they have buttons on it. To a cruder version, if you look it up, you can play with keys, ding, 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 and all of a sudden, I imagine it probably evolved. I'm saying from memory, instead of being totally lyrically correct, look it up. You can imagine in your head everything that evolved, like that what people must have done to turn into a grand piano, and then you eventually Les Paul and the invention of, wow, you know. But you got to think, holy shit, it goes even back further if you want to say people lived there close to caveman days, whether you read a Bible. Oh, everybody just was Adam and Eve in skins, and they just, you know, they were kind of cavemen, and said, well, we're people hunter-gatherers. The first instruments, you know, they may have been hanging hide, raw hide up to make, you know, clothes and carry bags for their arrows, quivers for their arrows, and make clothes, stretching it out on stuff to dry, and maybe some of the stuff that they're using from the animal, have it pulled on some pieces of wood like a frame to use it to sew things together. Oh my God, a drum. A drum. You know, and then little string. Instead of being biblical and historically correct, you got to have an idea in your head where, oh, pling, 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 pling. And then their kids, they might have been tribal in their days, and they may have had kids, right? And you ever be a kid or see somebody's kids playing with something or hitting on a box or in a toy instrument? Young kids can barely talk yet. They're hitting on a drummer, going, you know. You imagine the kids of these cavemen or tribal folk, or even back, you know, early days, you know, whatever you want to believe. Their kids were probably hitting, well, after the hunter-gatherers were discovering pling at the drum thing, the kids were probably going, So yeah, and you probably had these different tribes, whether it's Native American, every nationality, they were beating on a drum or playing something, and they had a version of, you know, or humming, chanting, yodeling, and doing all kind of stuff, and may have been going, I don't know. like, have you ever seen these kids, like, small kid that's crying about something, you know, like kids do, crying over stupid shit, and they're beating on something like something. What if you had some kind of tribal person of the day? They learn to play an instrument. It's not just out of happiness and out of war. They're beating on something out of war. The young kid is mad and he's beating on something, or he's crying. You might have had some tribal person, whether it's Native, anything, Aborigine, American. You probably figured they're beating on a drum some kind of way and grieving over death. I mean, it sounds silly, but the shit evolved from that, you know, and everything turned into fucking... I'm talking about the corruption too, but things evolved in a good way and bad. This shit was around, you know, the shit was around for forever. Beginning of time, people try to do something for good, and then it turned into... I think I'm going to end it right there.